Good morning. Today we will talk about Ukraine and how you can do communications and do business in Ukraine, because I'm originally from Ukraine but often work in Brussels, in Washington, so I know that for many people from the west and from the east, also from Japan, from China, it's not understandable how you can work in Ukraine and what opportunities Ukraine give to you. Ukraine is a large country, it's independent country for 1991, and of course Ukraine has many resources and many human resources, because it's one of the most educated people in the post-Soviet Union countries, and in all over the world. So we have big also history and national heritage, and big opportunities like European country, like transit country, like country of this new wave of democratization, and so on and so forth. What you need to know about Ukraine, and firstly, some US citizen have information on their mobile phone and their accounts that Ukraine it's not the better country to visit, and not the better country to start their business, and its information came from the Secretary of State to the citizens, and I know it exactly because many friends of mine called to me and said, hey, what happened, why I have SMS message from the secretary that it's not good idea to came to Ukraine. We have Russian aggression, we have conflict in eastern Ukraine, so it's Donetsk and Luhansk region, and this conflict it's quite similar to Russian aggression in Georgia, and maybe you know cases about Abkhazia, Ossetia, maybe you know the case of Pridnestrovia, also on the border of Ukraine. Maybe you know other cases of hybrid war which financed by Russia Federation, but really escalation we have only on these territories, and it's a big trouble, and it's a big problem for Ukraine to understand that it's a way of Russian policy, and Russia wanted to destabilize our region, and wanted to not allow Ukraine to take part in NATO work, to take part in the work of other big all-world organization. But on the other territory we have good conditions, and it's quite safe. For example, in Kiev, in the capital of Ukraine, in southern Ukraine, in western Ukraine, it's safe to be, it's safe to do your business, it's safe to visit country as tourists, as visitor, so it's quite safe. What about Crimea? Really in Crimea Peninsula we have the same problem. It's problem of annexion by Russia Federation, so they organized under weapon referendum and falsificate that mostly Ukrainian people wanted to join as federal district to Russia. Of course, it's a fake referendum, but now if you wanted to visit Crimea, it's also not suitable and not in international law, because it's annexion territory by annexion Crimea Peninsula, and it's its answer to your question: what about Ukraine, and is it safe to came to Ukraine? Usually, if you came to our country, you have flight departure in Boryspil Airport. It's the main airport of Ukraine, the biggest hub, in which is near Kiev. The second question is what about corruption, and what about power in Ukraine? Because in many different journals you can see articles about kleptocracy and about corruption in Ukraine and in other country. Yes, corruption exists, and for example, we work for a long time to build institution. For example, our company invest money to government relations institution, which we hope can fight with corruption and propose to Ukrainian businessmen more fair tools for dialogue between business and power. So it's, for example, our work and other people who are active in social and political issues. They do many work to kill corruption and to build new in their quality political institution to fight with corruption. But really, if you wanna to work in some spheres which are spheres of monopoly and which are sphere of influence of big Ukrainian businessmen who called oligarchs because they have influence to political parties, it's a really problem. But for example, if you want to invest and you understand all the risk and you want to work with interesting people, with fair people in Ukraine, you can work, for example, in the sphere of green energy. It's possible, and many investors work in the sphere of green energy, in the sphere of woodworks, in the sphere of agriculture, also, and in the sphere of mining. You can work. So many international companies, for example, Bunge from United States, work now in Ukraine and work quite successfully. So what about political structure? We have multiple party structure, and every party work on their voters. So half of parliament, it's people who elected by their majorital districts, and half of parliament, it's a proportional system when person vote for political parties. And some political parties has history, for example, Batkivshina party with long history, and some parties, it's new parties and new political projects. For example, quite new political forces which were established this year. Of course, if you do some conclusions, of course we can work in Ukraine, and you must be very interested in Ukrainian laws, and you must have good lawyer here in Ukraine. You must understand all practices and all influence in your sphere. But in Ukraine we have quite big number of professionals who work with multinationals company and who ready be very fair with you and work to build a new type of country. And welcome to Ukraine. We will be ready, we as company, and also our partners from advocacy sphere, from political consultant sphere, for business economies. They are ready to contact with foreign investors and with foreign friends to build democracy institutions and also to big strong economy here in Ukraine.